All right. Good evening, guys. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. You all are welcome back to my live. Be active now. You all are welcome back to this live section. You know, we are going to be talking about, based on the recent happenings in Nigeria, all this insecurity that is really going on, and putting people, putting Nigerians in fear. We are going to be talking about that insecurity today. This headline is what we are going to be talking about today: harsh economy, insecurity, tweaking traditions in Nigeria. When we are talking about insecurity, tweaking traditions in Nigeria, it is really a serious matter. It is really a serious matter. It is very, very is a very vital issue that is really going on now in Nigeria, because many more people now bury the dead in the city. In cities, traditional marriage rights hold outside village, which is not supposed to be so. It is not supposed to be so at all, because when someone dies, it is based on tradition. It is meant for the person to be taken to the village, and to be buried in his or her village. But because of insecurity, people can no longer travel again. So you not come and be talking of burying the dead, and another person will now come and be a victim again. So they now decide to bury people in the city, which is not supposed to be so. Now, traditional marriage rights, which is holding outside village, is not is not meant to be that way. Is all because of this insecurity that we are still talking about. This insecurity, Nigeria's growing economic hardship, and the dynamics of age-long traditions and cultures that are sacred to tribes and ethnic groups. Now, today, local events including traditional marriages, burials, New Yam festivals, and name it, others that people usually hold in their villages and hometowns, are now held in cities and even overseas without having to travel home or come down to Nigeria for those residents in the diaspora. And why are they doing all this? Is because of insecurity. It is because of insecurity, because people are afraid. When I mean afraid, people are afraid to travel. People are afraid to travel. They can't even risk their life, saying that they are traveling by road. No matter what it takes, you still, even though you booked a flight, you still come down and enter your car and travel by road to get to your destination. So people are afraid. People are really living in fear. It's just like living in bondage in Nigeria. People are living in fear. And the worst thing is that these governments, they are not willing, they are not even ready to do anything about this um, issue of insecurity in Nigeria. That's the worst thing. Like that's what marvels me, because these guys, they know that Nigeria is not even secured when it comes to security. Nigeria has zero when it comes to security, and they know all these things, and they don't want to, they don't want to. This is something that they can do. It's not like they can't do it. It's not like they can't fix this problem of insecurity in Nigeria. They can do it. But because this thing they are using it for their own selfish, purposes and to accomplish their, will I call it, evil missions. That's why they would, leave Nigeria to be in a mess today. Because what is happening in Nigeria? People, even foreign investors, can't even come into Nigeria to invest again because they're afraid. They are afraid to come to Nigeria and start up their business and invest in Nigeria. We are still talking about. So in some tribes, it is a custom to hold traditional marriages in the village, whereby the husband to be is expected to go to the hometown of the bride to be to perform all the traditional rites, with the bride's kingsmen and all that. That's the normal way to do it. That's normal procedure. That's normal procedure. There's this high sense Nweke, who is a Lagos-based retiree from Enugu State, and he held the traditional marriage of her first daughter in Lagos at the peak of insecurity, which is not supposed to be so. It is because of this insecurity that that man went to Lagos to do her daughter's traditional marriage. Do you know what traditional marriage is? Just because of insecurity to avoid the risks of traveling down to his hometown in Enugu. So he said his wife and uh, he and his wife decided to hold their daughter's traditional marriage in Lagos. The roads were not good, and a whole lot of things are happening in the road because of herdsmen and all that, gunmen and kidnappers. So these guys, they were afraid. They were afraid because they wouldn't risk their lives, because of which is not supposed to be so. It's not supposed to be so. So they just requested for the marriage. They just requested for the marriage list from their kingsmen, which they sent to them via social media, and they gave the list to their in-laws, which did all the marriage rights. They did all the marriage rights there in Lagos and sent the required things down to the village. You can imagine all these things are happening because of insecurity. All these things are happening because of insecurity. Or is it a man? There's this woman that I saw on Twitter. She was complaining. She was weeping bitterly. She was crying, saying that she lost her husband because of insecurity. Because of insecurity. Now insecurity has made that woman a widow. Insecurity has made that woman a widow because Nigeria is not secured. And she said in that video that the husband was actually, the husband was kidnapped, and they were asking for ransom, and they paid. This one was not, they paid the ransom. Oh. These guys were still demanding for ransom. They paid the ransom. When I'm talking about ransom, it's a very huge amount of money. They paid it, and they ended up, on life in this man. You can imagine now, insecurity in Nigeria has made this man a widow. And what is the government doing to end this insecurity? What is the government doing to end this insecurity in Nigeria? What are they really doing to end this insecurity in Nigeria? Now, we are talking about insecurity tweaking traditions. We are talking about insecurity tweaking our traditions. Now, this worker that is complaining that he hadn't traveled home for traditional marriage for over 5 years, as most people from his hometown now hold such events in their state of residence because of insecurity. In fact, there are many things people are saying about this insecurity. Oluchi Onyemachi, a Benin-based businesswoman, said her younger brother did the traditional marriage of his wife in Lagos. You can imagine. She said her brother married the lady from, the Idapo in Imo State, an area that has been troubled by political political crisis for years now. To tell you that these people, these politicians, they are the ones, instigating this insecurity that is, really putting Nigerians in fear. They can fix it if they want to do it. Now, this person had to do traditional marriage over there in Lagos because of political crisis that has been troubling Imo State for years now. Traditional marriage because the father of the bride said that their hometown was in turmoil, and he doesn't want. So he had to travel from Enugu to Lagos. Why he traveled from Benin to Lagos to attend traditional marriage in Igbo land, for instance. It is used in corpses of the dead Igbo men and women to be taken to their village for prom. It's not meant to be so. It's not meant to. But these days, it is without having to convey, the remains of the village. The marriage are done in the cities. All these are happening because of insecurity. These cultural changes are happening today due to two major reasons. They include them, avoiding huge cost implications involved in traveling from the city to the countryside and reducing the security risks of traveling on Nigerian roads. You can imagine, which is not meant to be so. It is not meant to be so. There's this man that is tribe in Edo State, and they occupy the central part of Edo State. Most of you guys know this place called Esan. They occupy a central part of Edo State where it is believed that indigenes of the Esan land, especially their women, are not to be buried outside their hometown. But that is gradually changing because of insecurity. It is gradually changing because of insecurity. Now, someone said that the sister died in the US last. Her husband and children were not able to a whole lot of issues. And we are, in case you're just joining us, we are talking about how this insecurity in Nigeria and even harsh economy is really tweaking traditions in Nigeria. You know, this is actually a serious matter that is supposed to be looked into. Is really disturbing Nigerian security and all that. You know, Igbo people are another set of people who also believe in making sure that the remains of their loved ones are taken back to their hometowns, irrespective of where they died. But that is also changing because of insecurity, and it is very unfortunate that this insecurity of a thing is really tweaking traditions in Nigeria. Today, Igbos are burying their loved ones in the cemeteries located in the city, for many reasons. I heard of a story 2 years ago where a woman died in Lagos and she was buried in one of the cemeteries in the state without her body being conveyed home. The lady who died was not married at that time. She was not married, but she was in her mid 40s with both parents already dead, and it's because of insecurity. All these things are happening because of insecurity and high cost of living and all that, economic crisis and all that that's happening in Nigeria. The main thing that baffles me is that this government, they know the in fact they are the people instigating all these things, all this insecurity that is really eating Nigerians up, that is making Nigerians to live in fear and all that. They are the ones that are instigating all those, which if they want to end it, they can do that. They can do that. Like I was saying, you go to Benin now, go to Benue and all that. Benue, especially Benue, which is meant to be the food basket of Nigeria, of the nation. You can imagine those guys, they are living in fear now. They can't even go to their farm. They can't even cultivate in their farm because of insecurity, because of pet smell, because of insecurity and all that. They can't. They are living in fear. And they can't go to. This one is that they they have what they have farm produce and all that. They have farm. They have land to cultivate on, but they can't go to that farm because their life is at stake. They can't go to that farm. Now tell me why things won't be hard. Tell me why there will be high cost of living in Nigeria. Tell me why food won't be expensive in Nigeria, because people that are meant to go to the farm and produce all these things, they are living in fear. They can't even go to their farm because of insecurity. And the government is aware of this, and they are not doing anything. They're not even shaking their body. They're not doing anything to make sure that this insecurity is tackled in Nigeria. So guys, I would like you guys to air your views in the comment section on what you think about this uh, insecurity tweaking traditions in Nigeria. And I will see you guys in my next live session. Thank you for always staying with us. Thank you for always staying with us. Please, if you are new to this channel, do well to subscribe, like, and also drop a comment below. I'll see you guys in my next live session. Thank you.